They shot him, they got him together, they shot him in the head, they shoved him in the trunk for 2 days, then got scared, then went back, set the car on fire and put it out in the middle of nowhere. My son was not a dog.
Her son found companionship and security in a gang behind bars in the Texas prison system. He became another casualty of the violence that federal prosecutors say white supremacy groups and other race-based organizations are responsible for inside and outside the barbed wire. Good evening, I'm Kelly Phillips.
And I'm Greg Kerr. Thanks for being with us. Beatings, stabbings, murders, crimes linked to gangs divided by race.
Gangs brought together by a common thread, the extreme violence often targeting their own members inside and outside Texas prisons. The groups had their beginnings in state prisons during the 1980s. Inmates aligned themselves based on racial threats, a form of protection. KFDM's Megan Dillard joins us now in the studio with details. Megan?
The Texas prison system recognizes 12 security threat groups. They include the Bloods, the Crips, 8 groups identified as Mexican gangs, and 2 others, the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas and the Aryan Circle. Federal prosecutors tell KFDM News by far most of the cases in East and Southeast Texas center on those 2 groups. During the past 2 months, I've worked with executive producer Scott Lawrence to look into these organizations. We discovered it's simplistic to call them white supremacy groups. In a broader sense, they're organized criminal enterprises involved in everything from dealing drugs to murder. To learn more about the groups and their impact, I spoke with 4 key people, a former recruiter with the Aryan Circle who offered a rare glimpse into his world. Emil Garza, who supervises the Texas prison system office that investigates the 12 groups identified as security threats. Malcolm Bales, the United States Attorney, who has prosecuted a number of high-profile white supremacy cases in recent years, and Vivian Sedtal, her son, targeted and murdered by his own group. Each of these people provides a perspective that, taken together, helps us understand the impact of the organizations. The 4 don't always agree, and sometimes there are no clear answers. There is one undeniable truth: the ability of these groups to lure, corrupt, and kill.
I mean, nobody ever wants to get that call. Oh, your son's murdered.
Vivian Sedtal.
They only did it for greed.
Her son's killers.
They got life, and so did I.
Their sentences, the same. Their burdens, different.
I have to live with the life inside my head of my son.
A young man, a gang member murdered.
Instead of killing him, they killed half of me, too.
By his own people. It starts behind bars.
At its core, it's a dysfunctional, violent, hate-filled organization.
Where gang members recruit.
I was young and naive, but the original cause is for the white race.
Racial activity, we still have it.
White supremacy, or the idea that the white race is superior, is what first binds these groups together. We learn that gang activity is more than matching tattoos, protection in prison, and allegiance. It's a web of violence, organized crime, in which even their own members become targets.
Gang members like James Lee Sedtal.
Did he ever tell you how they first approached him?
In jail. In jail.
He spent time behind bars in Burnet County for evading arrest in the early 2000s.
And they said, well, Mama, you got to have some friends in there.
And then again for drug charges in Jefferson County a few years later.
And I said, that's kind of crazy. You're in SWS? For what?
The Solid Wood Soldiers, the group to whom he pledged his loyalty.
He says, Mama, I just want the money.
The group who just 5 months later took his life.
He was supposed to meet with them people.
March 2011. Vivian knew she hadn't heard from James Lee in nearly a month.
And I said, all the way out there, what for?
She also knew officers in Hardin County had recently found a burned body stuffed in a trunk.
He said, don't worry about it, Mama, I got it.
Her mother called on a morning she now replays in her head.
She said, did you get a call? I said, what call? No, why? She said, it was. It was what? It was James Lee.
James Lee Sedtal.
A SWS member was murdered by other SWS members.
Dead at 25.
Because he had shot an ABT member in the hand over a drug transaction gone bad.
a problem between the Solid Wood Soldiers and the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas.
He was murdered to broker a peace that would have been broken with the ABT if they had not killed him.
A gang war prevented with one life taken.
They shot him, put him in the trunk of a car, and burned his body.
A message to other members.
It was a really grotesque, violent act.
These gangs, they're just outrageous. And I'm like, what for?
Unanswered questions this mother will ask over and over through the years as she thumbs through all she has left of James Lee.
I don't ask for pity. I asked for justice, and I didn't get it.
The Texas Department of Criminal Justice and prosecutors working to stop the bloodshed.
That type of violence is unacceptable to us.
Coming up tonight at 10, the U.S. Attorney sheds light on what drives inmates to join prison gangs, and the former recruiter for the Aryan Circle talks about what happens when they do. He'll explain an order given behind bars that can unleash the violence. Caught in the middle, the supervisor in Texas prisons working every day to find the weapons and stop the bloodshed. I did want to tell you guys that today, we didn't know this when we did the story, but today would have been James Lee Sedtal's 20th birthday. Wow. So kind of a tough time for his mother that you all just met. You know, Thanksgiving is approaching. Yeah.
So it's a 3-part series.
Correct.
Very interesting. And viewers have a chance to watch this through the magic of social media as well, right?
Absolutely. And we posted some stuff earlier this morning. You can join the discussion there. It's going to be on KFDM Facebook page and then also Fox 4 SETX for Beaumont for Fox 4's Facebook page.
Right, and if you missed this story, you can also watch it tonight at 9 on Fox.
Yep. Part 1 again tonight at 9. Part 2 tonight here on KFDM at 10. And then Part 3 wraps it up tomorrow at 6 here on KFDM.
All right. Thanks, Megan. Appreciate it.